Thank you. It looks like we have a call now. So let's hear from Jeff in Akron. Jeff, I think you're live.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Okay, I'm great. You can hear me. I haven't used Skype that much.
Oh, you sound
Um,
fantastic.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Anyway, first of all, I wanted to say that number one, I'm an atheist, and I've been watching the show now for a couple months, and I can't wait until scientists are able to create a living cell in the lab, because that day will come. Just like man was able to walk on the moon, just like in 1900, nobody thought that man would be able to walk on the moon, and in the 60s, we proved them wrong. Um, and that day will come when scientists are able to take non-living chemicals and create a living cell in the lab.
Well, in one sense, I think it's already happened. At least, there's the
RNA, I guess. I don't know that much about it.
the Miller-Urey experiments. They at least prove that you can take inorganic chemicals and throw them together with some kind of electrical stimulus that could have been lightning and form organic molecules. So that's at least that's not doesn't prove anything about the early conditions of the Earth, but at least it shows that this sort of thing works in some sense.
Can I ask, Jeff, let's say that tomorrow they did this. They were able to produce something that had DNA and it was reproducible, like the thing reproduced itself. So they create a self-reproducing cell.
Yeah.
And like, what is it that you think would occur at that point?
Well, that would pretty much pull the rug out from under religious belief, because all religious belief, as one of the tenets, says that that God is the only one who can create life.
I don't think it says he's the only one that can create life. I think it says he created certain types of life, like God created life. But what makes you think that they wouldn't treat this just like they treat evolution, where the Catholic Church says, yeah, evolution is true. God used evolution. Like, what makes you think they wouldn't do something like that and say, yeah, this is how God made life?
That's interesting. I'm not really sure how to respond to that. But just the fact that scientists would be able to do that, just the fact that humanity would be able to create life from non-living materials, that is something that would be godlike.
I think we do a lot of things that are godlike. I mean, just the fact that I'm talking to people, somebody in Akron, Ohio, via Skype, right? But I think the issue here is that believers, I think this is an issue where believers kind of set up something that they kind of aren't, well, it's weird. They're not honest, but I don't think that they're being necessarily cognitively dishonest. What happens is they'll say things sometimes that they actually, on a surface level, think are correct. And then when something happens and it gets undermined, they then seem to still hold on to their belief anyway. So what'll happen, for example, is they'll say things like, oh, people can't make life in a lab. And they hold this up as though this is some evidence of God or some supporting thing with God. And then if people did it, right, then they would just turn around and say, oh, yeah, that's how God did it. And it wouldn't affect their I don't think it would affect their belief at all. I think they would just sort of revise their beliefs in order to fit that in, just like they always do.
Yeah, well, the fact that religion is so pliable in that way,
It is.
it kind of discredits religion.
Well, what it discredits to me is their points and arguments, because what it shows me is that their belief is not based on these things that they argue so vehemently about. So these challenges that they put forward when they say, we can't make life, they're acting like that's a big thing. And then when it's gone, suddenly it's not a big thing anymore. Suddenly it's like nothing. And so they just move on. And so what's happening is they have this belief, but they don't really even know why they have it. And they think that they have all these reasons, right? And one of the reasons they think they have it is because, wow, life is such a mystery. But when you start tearing those things down, what I've seen, not all the time, I mean, some people are not like this. Some people will come out of their belief when certain linchpins are pulled. But a lot of people, you can pull all those linchpins out where there's nothing left, and they'll just say, well, I just got to have faith.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
you're sitting there looking at it going, so you don't really have any reason for believing it's just in your head.
That's true. I think that the argument has already been won. It's just that, so, I mean, really, you guys can just basically go home as far as I'm concerned. The argument's already been won. It's just that some people don't want to be reasoned with.
Yeah. So it's a wrap. Jeff says we're done. So, no.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next
John,
week.
do you have anything to add? I mean, I've dominated this,
great.
I feel like.
No, that's a very good point.
I just wanted to raise one more point.
Sure.
I believe in philosophical naturalism. And the reason why I do, I know that's a stretch, the reason why I do is because all of the evidence that we've collected so far is in support of philosophical naturalism. There is no, all of the mysteries that were unknown that have been since solved, they've all been shown to have natural causes. And so therefore, nothing that we've collected as far as evidence has shown philosophical naturalism to be false.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't quite put it that way. I think the reason that philosophical naturalism is probably a good thing to be holding to currently is just there's no other game in town. It's the only game in town. So until there's another game, that's pretty much all you've got. It's like with evolution and creationism, right? The idea being that when I was watching Revisionaries, I was just so blown away the way that they look at it, and there was one scientist who was saying, well, in evolution, there are certain aspects of it and certain things that you can find where we're still researching and still looking for answers. And the creationist, Don McElroy, said, and then I see that and I think, well, then the whole theory could be wrong. But if you turn that around and say, well, where's your evidence for creationism? There's none. Right? So they look at evolution and there's like this pile, this mountain of evidence that is right in their face, and then they'll look for any sort of unanswered question in any like minuscule aspect of it and then say, oh, maybe the whole thing is wrong. But when you turn it on what they're saying, there's nothing there. There's not a shred of evidence there. And so they have this weird idea. I look at it like right now we know that evolution occurs. You're going to argue with me as a creationist that you don't think it can occur over these long spans and accomplish the genetic diversity that we see on the planet today. But the point is, it's the only natural mechanism that I'm aware of that produces change over generations. And until we see a creationist event, we don't have anything to study there. So the only thing that does this appears to be evolution. And until something else is brought forward that we can actually look at, here's what we're looking at, because it's the only mechanism we are aware of that can produce changes at all. I mean, now we have it in a lab, I guess. We have like the ability to go in and genetically alter things in a lab. But prior to that, there wasn't anything. So it's the same type of thing you're talking about, where philosophical naturalism versus what? Right? Yeah. I mean, what else is there?
Well, and once you had some kind of creationist event to look at and study, then it would become naturalism again.
Right, but it could still be creationism. I mean, however, but the point is, when you've only got one observable mechanism and one thing that you can study and one thing that you can examine evidence for, you're welcome to entertain all kinds of alternative ideas that you want, but until you have something that we can observe just as well, it's this versus nothing.
Right.
Yeah, you could completely refute evolution tomorrow somehow,
and then we're left with nothing.
And that would not would not prove creationism any more than it is already.
We'd be sitting there going, and then what? Because what is causing this? We don't know.
You don't win by default just because you.
And then they'd say, you don't know, so I'm right.
That's right.
You don't know, so creationism.
You don't know the answer, therefore it's my answer.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I just have one more really quick comment.
Take your time, Jeff, because you're the only game in town right now. We got Jeff versus nothing.
Okay. I just have one more really quick comment.
Sure.
In Genesis 1:16, it says God created the stars. However, you can go on YouTube and you can download a video where the process of star formation is detailed, and you can see a star forming, and they show you, and the process of star formation is explained to you in detail.
Isn't
so
God
how
wonderful?
is it that God created the stars when you can actually see the video on YouTube that demonstrates this.
That's how God.
And I just-
that's how
That's
God
how
did
God
it.
did it. Yeah, I
one
mean,
more quick thing.
it's amazing that we can sit there and watch God at work.
Right, right. And I just want to say one more thing. I really enjoy the show, and thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You sure you don't have anything else to talk about? You've got us,
Well,
man. We're at your call. We got nothing.
I do. I have one more little
Go
thing.
for it.
Okay. Well, I know that Matt's not the host this week, and
Yeah,
so
sorry.
that's okay. But I just wanted to say how much I really enjoyed his debate with Ray Comfort. I know that was a while ago, but I saw that video, and I really enjoyed that. And the thing about Ray Comfort is that he's a good lawyer. And someone made a video of, describing Ray Comfort as a lawyer, and that's exactly what he is. There's a reason why they call it defending the faith. Okay, a defense lawyer doesn't care about what's true.
Right, it's about winning.
He just wants to find the evidence to prove that his client didn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
in
you're
reality, a defense lawyer is about getting his client off.
Yeah. I was convinced to join the church when I was about 15 by apologist Josh McDowell. And it's the same story, right? He had this really, really great set of arguments and evidence. It was like fantastic until I got to the university library where I started to look it up and I saw that he simply presented things that supported his case and swept all the rest of it under the rug. Didn't talk about the things that were problematic for him. And he's got a quote on the internet now. Josh McDowell was years ago. He was kind of like the precursor to the modern apologist. Like he was sort of the Ray Comfort of my generation, I guess. Probably a little bit more serious. And he has said something like, the internet is the worst thing to happen to apologists. And it is. It's because in his case, as soon as you had access to the information, he was messed. His thing just fell like a house of cards. And it's harder now because we've got more information. So we do have another call now. So thanks for tiding us over there, Jeff, and hanging in
Thanks
there
a lot.
like a trooper.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate your call.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, bye-bye.